Many thanks for staying with us. This is still Politics HQ on News Central TV. Now, Martin Obono, the Executive Director of TAP Initiative, declared recently that Nigeria's Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has or was complicit in some irregularities in the 2024 Edo State governorship election. Now, of course, recently Obono presented what he termed damning, incontrovertible evidence of INEC's role in an alleged conspiracy that could shake Nigeria's electoral foundation. With stacks of documents in hand, Obono detailed glaring discrepancies between certified true copies, that's CTCs, of polling unit results issued by INEC and the identical document uploaded to INEC's own iREV result portal. Well, joining me on the program at this time is Martin Obono, is the Executive Director of TAP Initiative. He joins virtually. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much for having me, Dapon.
All right. I went through some of the documents, which, of course, you presented. The results are pretty much damning. I would like you to go through or take us through what you discovered.
Okay, thank you very much. So basically, election day, we were observing elections through Ready to Lead Africa's situation room in Abuja. The organization had a lot of observers on ground in Edo State on that day, and I was just giving commentary at the office and just observing the elections there, when results were pouring in and all that. But what then transpired was that it became different when the results were then collated and finally announced. So some of the things we were seeing on the iREV were totally different from what was being announced. And then that led us to carry out further investigations to basically see what was going on and to verify if INEC's data was actually correct and what they were declaring was actually what was obtainable on the field. So we kept some of the results that we had, and we were waiting until collation was done, results were announced, the winner was announced and everything, and then decided to request for the certified true copies from INEC. And we then got certified true copies from INEC, but when we compared the certified true copies that we received from INEC, they were totally different from what was obtained at the polling units. They were different in numbers, different in every other thing, but the same in serial number. So if you look at the results itself, not this particular one you're putting up on the screen, but if you look at the other results, you will see that there were a lot of discrepancies in the results. They had the same serial number, the same polling unit, exactly. This is the original copy of the result. I would have preferred if you had it side by side so the viewers can also see and also determine yes. So what happened was that this particular result is the original, as they can see, and then what happened is that you see that the polling agents signed, 3 polling agents, that's the APC, the PDP, and the Labour Party, signed this particular result sheet. But if you look at the fake one that INEC later used to collate, the certified true copies that INEC then used to collate their results, you realize that the 3, exactly this particular one, the 3 signatures are missing, and they just stamped the certified true copy there. And if you also look at the presiding officer's name and signature, the names are not, it's not the same person who wrote the 2 names. It's also not the same person who signed the signature. And then, but the results are totally different.
All right. So if I got you correctly, the original copy, that's the one uploaded on iREV, was not, when you put it side by side with the one that, the certified true copy that you collected physically from INEC, it did not match up. There were obvious discrepancies.
Of 100%. 100%. So those are the discrepancies I was basically bringing out. So you will say that the signatures are different. They are not signatures, actually, not even that they are different. So INEC filled the certified true copies but with their own hands. And in fact, if you compare the results, so we then also employed the services of a graphologist in South Africa This graphologist is actually one of the best in the world. He is actually the person who certifies or who clarifies Nelson Mandela's signature since he died, and to show that Nelson Mandela actually signed some of these things. So what then happened was that they put up we asked the graphologist to verify whether the handwritings were the same, and true, lo and behold, the handwritings are the same. What INEC did was that one person per local government, or maximum of 2 people, sat down and filled all these forms, and then you can see that their handwritings are the same. One person just sat down and filled the form of all the result sheets, and then collated them and then sent it to the State Collation Center, where they then announced the final results for the candidate who was then announced. So the results, it just shows you how INEC can become a criminal enterprise in the country, and that an organization that is meant to actually have unbiased, conduct an election for people to come into government and do the right thing, can either be bribed or decide on their own to become criminal elements to then rig election, change and subvert the will of the people. And this is not the first time we are seeing this happen in our country. Many times where we've seen elections conducted and people say, oh, we didn't vote for this particular candidate, but we cannot even prove what really transpired. So, but this is actually the first time we are seeing that INEC in itself is caught red-handed, pants down, doing this particular kind of rigging. But
INEC has maintained that the iREV is not a coalition center. I mean, does that in any way hold water in all of this discovery?
So if INEC is not, okay, so they say it's not a coalition center, no problem. But what is it? It's a repository of results, isn't it? It is where people send the results sheets to show that this was what transpired on the field. So if you then post results from polling units and then the result is not the same, we are not saying that collates it. We are just saying that the results you announced from these polling units, the results you picked up from this polling unit, I think this is 000067 polling result from the polling units you're putting up here. And if you say that the result from polling unit 00067 is not the same as the result from your own result sheet, which is 000067 as well, and it does not have a signature of the agents that are from the agents of all the political parties from the polling units, then it begs for a different question. We are not saying that we are now saying that the results on iREV are collated. No, we are just saying that you pick pieces of results from the iREV and then collate them. The pieces you're picking from iREV to collate them are actually not correct. So how do we then say that the results you have collated is correct?
I mean, so this is a very, very pretty deep, of course, revelations. So what are you doing about it? What steps are you taking next?
2 days ago, because this is forgery, this is a criminal offense. 2 days ago, we wrote to the INEC chairman. We wrote to the ICPC chairman, detailing everything. The results, the forensic evidence, everything that we have found, and have put it out there to him and said, look, you need to prosecute this because this is criminal. And this is public officers. These are public officers who should be held accountable for their actions. And the INEC chairman has come out to say that there was a mistake that they made in collation and slow arrival of results in Edo State and all that. And also indirectly admitting that what has happened in Edo State was a heist. So we are now saying that apology is no excuse for criminality. Apology does not absolve criminality, because what INEC actually did in Edo State is tantamount to CBN printing fake results. Basically, it just feels like CBN printing fake currency and then circulating that currency in the system. That is exactly what INEC has done. You cannot justify what INEC has done, and we cannot continue like this. Ondo elections are around the corner. Anambra elections are also around the corner. The 2023 presidential elections are also around the corner. We cannot run a country like this, a country where institutions don't work. We cannot run a country like this. We need to do something about Nigeria, and we've got to be serious about it. If not, let's just pack up the country and go home, or let us sell it on eBay like Nigerians normally say, because this is not a democracy that will work, for Christ's sakes. This is not a democracy that will work. If we want to have an election, let's have an election. If we don't want to conduct an election, let's just pick people, appoint people and say, go represent. We don't waste our time, don't waste our resources, don't waste resources of friends of Nigeria, the US, the EU, and the rest of the world that supports you, that gives you money, hoping that something good is going to come out of Nigeria. INEC should not bungle these elections. INEC should not ruin our democracy. And that's why we are saying that we have submitted this petition to ICPC. ICPC has got to investigate this, bring everybody to justice. We cannot continue to allow electoral offenders, election riggers to go away, go home scot-free without consequences. We are not serious about our democracy if we continue in that light. We've got to do something. And Nigerians have to stand up to do something. It is not just going to be business as usual, and that's why we are pursuing this. We are also going to take this up to any level, to international communities, and let them understand that this money that you always give to INEC, INEC uses it to rig elections, or they don't even conduct elections that will be acceptable in the first place. So you've got to stop funding them. You've got to stop giving them credibility and the kind of legitimacy that they get by associating with them. You've got to stop that until INEC does the right thing. And the right thing begins with now. We cannot run an institution. We can't run a country.
All right, Martin. All right, Martin. Let's look at the Electoral Act. Of course, that was recently amended. I mean, we know that right now electronic voting has taken headway when it comes to our electoral process. One would, I mean, the anticipation is that elections will be better, transparent, swifter, and efficient. But right now we are beginning to see flaws. I would like, maybe in form of recommendation, where are we getting it wrong?
So I think that the Electoral Act is perfect. It sounds absurd, but the Electoral Act is as good as it should be. The problem is with the individuals who are supposed to be the custodians and the enforcers of the Electoral Act. Every now and then, we have an election or Electoral Act, an election, and then we keep amending the Electoral Act to be able to checkmate corrupt politicians and political parties as they are. But in this instance, what we are now saying is that we have checked corrupt politicians by saying, listen, we now have an iREV. So if you come and mutilate results will already have been posted on iREV. If you go to cause problem at the World Collation Center or at the polling unit, results will have already been uploaded. So you can't even do that. So politicians are now aware that they cannot obstruct election results. However, INEC has now become the one that has devised new means of saying that, okay, we will have to rig these elections for a particular political party or for a particular politician to make them win, because that's the only way. But I think that, having said that, I think that one of the major things I would like to see, if the changes will be effective, will be to see how diaspora citizens can actually vote in an election. Citizens of Nigeria can actually vote in an election. Maybe go to the embassy or Nigerian embassies in their various countries to vote. I'll also want to see prisoners who can actually vote in an election in Nigeria. So maybe these are the kind of things that I think I would like to really see in the Electoral Act. But aside that, in terms of checkmating fraud and criminality in Nigeria, electronic voting, no doubt, can check that. But as it's were, I don't think that our system, our technological dimensions have grown and matured enough for us to be able to have electronic voting as well as electronic collation of results. I am not sure about that, especially considering the fact that on a daily basis, our national grid collapses. So what if in an election date, this year alone, national grid has collapsed more than up to 4 times or more? What if during an election and then national grid collapses? What then happens? Or the telecoms infrastructure goes off? What then happens? So I think that we will get there. It is very important to have electronic voting. We will get there. Even Americans, like Elon Musk was crying and shouting around about electronic voting in America that has actually advanced. So, but let's take things slow and easy. We'll get there as time goes on. But for now, let us make the system that we have work. How do we make the systems that we have work? We need to hold the people that we've given opportunity to lead us, to man some of these institutions accountable. We need to hold the INEC chairman accountable. We've got to hold.
All right. I mean, your point there is pretty much valid. But if you can, of course, before we go, just 30 seconds, if you can respond to this. The Ondo election is just around the corner. We've seen what happened in Edo State, where, of course, you did make some discoveries through research. What are the takeaways?
From Ondo elections or Edo elections?
Edo elections ahead of Ondo elections.
Okay. So the takeaway from Ondo elections, I think, politicians. For me, I feel like politicians are not doing the right thing. Political parties also are not putting in their best foot forward in terms of ensuring that elections they hold the electoral institutions accountable. I also think that one of the things that INEC needs to put in place, in as much as they've committed fraud in the last elections, they can do better in the coming elections, is to ensure that results are collated and the right results are collated. They also should bring materials to the polling units on time and ensure that the right thing is done. I think that nobody should be sleeping. APC, PDP, Labour Party, whichever party is involved in the elections in Ondo State should not go to bed, because they need to watch and be sure that their eyes are open and ensure that those who voted them, the votes of those who voted for them, count at the polling units in the end.
All right. Thank you so much for your time on the program today. I'm Martins Obono, the Executive Director of TAP Initiative. Once again, thank you for your time.
Thank you so much for having me.